श्रीमान् वेङ्कटनाथार्यः कवितार्किककेसरी वेदान्ताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्ताम् सदा हृदि। रामानुजदया पात्रम् ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणम् श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यम् वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकम्। ஷீரொன்று தூப்புல் திருவேங்கடமுடையான் பாரொன்றச் சொன்ன பழமொழியுள் ஊரொன்று தானே அமையாதோ தாரணியில் வாழ்வார்க்கு வானேரப் போமளவும் வாழ்வு.
श्रीमान् वेङ्कटनाथार्य कवितार्किककेसरी वेदान्ताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदा हृदि। रामानुजदया पात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकम्. ராமானுஜதயா சீரொன்று தூப்புல் திருவேங்கடமுடையான் பாரொன்று சொன்ன பழமொழியுள் ஓரொன்று தானே அமையாதோ தாரணியில் வாழ்வார்க்கு வானேரப் போமளவும் வாழ்வு.
Let us take 45. Swami Vedanta Deshika's Rahasya Navanitam. So this is one of the minor Rahasyas of Sri Vedanta Deshika. So we have been seeing in the last page, 44, Uttara Krityam. Uttara Krityam is after Prapatti, after the total surrender, after Sharanagati, after Atma Nikshepaha, after Nyasaha, Athava Bharanyasaha. We are now discussing what we are supposed to do according to the advice, good advice of Sri Vedanta Deshika. So, Sarvashesha Vrittigalayum Pannum Prakaratiyum Kanishikiratu Charama Shloka. So, as all of us know that these Rahasya Granthas of Sri Vedanta Deshika deal with the three secrets, Rahasya Trayam. And of course, he has given a compendium on Rahasya Traya as Rahasya Traya Saraha. That's also a big work, great work. But in order to be very brief, precise, concise, short, and so on, he has given us the easiness of reading this essence of these three secrets, namely Ashtakshara Mantra, 8-syllable spell, the Dvaya Mantra, 2-sentence spell, and also the Charama Shloka. Now, Keshavdas Swami, the organizer, has given you the link, so you can copy the link where you can see the previous uploads and all the previous pages. And of course, this is only another information that for you, as an invite, I extend invitation to you all for joining us in Abhay Pradhanasara. Yeah, Abhay Pradhanasara from Monday to Friday. And as Keshavdas Swami put it in the chat, please subscribe. Please subscribe to this channel. You will get all the. And just to tell you in 1 minute what we had so far. So we have gone through the Gitartha Sangraha of Sri Yamunacharya, Alavanda, fully. And also we have gone through Stotra Ratnam of the same great author, preceptor to Vedanta Deshika. And therefore, both of them are there in complete presentation in the YouTube videos. So with this small introduction, I am subject to correction. You can interrupt in the middle. You can ask questions and clarifications. You can add, supplement the information. No botheration to come. If you give us the WhatsApp number and your name, I think I have some of them. I will give you Keshavdas Swami. I will include in the group also. So let us. Now we are on the third secret, namely Charma Shloka. So all of us know that it is Charma Shloka or three in number. One is from Varahavatara as a great boar incarnation. The second was Ramavatara, as we see in Ramayana. And then Mahabharata in the rather Krishnavatara, the Charama Shloka in the Bhagavad Gita in the last chapter, 18th chapter. Now, so this is the first line that we read from page 45. Yeah. Sarvashesha Vrittigalayum Pannum Prakaratiyam Kanishikkirathu Charama Shlokam. So when we come to this Charama Shloka meaning, so after Sharanagati, after Prapatti, after the total surrender to our preceptor, the preceptor is to be considered God, and we've got a lot of methods to do Prapatti. And we have another concept called Prayaschitta Prapatti, which we do later after, a long time after Prapatti. And instead of following what we call the discipline of action, Karma Yoga, the discipline of wisdom, namely Jnana Yoga, and the discipline of devotion, Bhakti Yoga, Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya insists upon the easiest method of approaching God, and therefore that is all of us we know as Prapatti. So this is Rahasya Navanitam, this secret, Rahasyam secret. So Navanitam is as soft as the butter, and somebody called Lord Krishna as butter bandit, thief of butter. But Alvar says, Vennai undane. No Alvar said Vennai thirdinane. So here we say, Vennai, the butter, the Navanitam as we call it, and Vedanta Deshika has a special word called Hayyangavinam. It is fresh butter. Navanitam, Nava is fresh, brought in a fresh way. That is yesterday's curds, yesterday's milk, yesterday's curds, and then curds were churned to get butter. So the butter is our mind, heart. So our heart should melt. Neerpandam pola uruha vendum. This is Shastra as we understand from great people. As we go to the temple and stand before the Sanctum Sanctorum to worship the Lord, in any Divya Desham, for that matter. So what are we to do after Prapatti? Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayishyami Ma Suchaha. There are three sentences again. And then the method of going further in the process of total surrender, what are we to do? What should we do? So this is the first line that says, Sarva Shesha Vrittikalayam. Thanks to Vasudha Ranganathan, Raghunathan, for giving the number. It is noted already by the organizer. So Sarva Shesha Vrittikalayam. So whatever be the type of service as mentioned in Shastras, or as we can imagine, it should be a faultless service, it should be a sincere service, it should be a loyal service, it should be a faithful service. So whatever adjective that you know you can add. So Sarva Shesha Vrittikalayam. So our life should consist of activities for all kinds of slavery, for all kinds of servitude, for all kinds of subservience. So we must be feeling as dependent on the independent Lord. So we are all Sheshaha. As all of us know in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, there are 9 types of relationships between the Supreme Soul and the individual soul. And therefore, so you know the list already. Keshavadas Swami has given it in many sessions, and so Sarvashesha Vrittikalayam. So all kinds of subservience will be done as per the instruction given by Charama Shloka. Pannum Prakaratiyam. What is the methodology? what is the strategy to go about doing all activities as a slave, as a servant. So, idil சொன்ன சரண்யனுக்கும் சரணாகதிக்கும் பலத்துக்கும் தேச கால ஆதி பரிச்சேதம் இல்லை. So, the advice of the Lord, namely in the incarnation of Krishna, is universal. Therefore, there is no time-bound prapatti. There is no time-bound advantage of the prapatti. There is no time, there is no place-bound prapatti. Anywhere we can do prapatti, desha, kala, anytime we can do prapatti, adi, etc. So, whatever be the status of the person who does prapatti is immaterial. Irrespective of the status of the person who does prapatti, so we have the beautiful process, namely sarvadharman parityajya, giving up the fruits of our activities. So Sharanyanukum, he is called Sharanya, the Supreme Personality who can give us the shelter, refuge, succor, offer protection. So he is to be surrendered, Sharanyaha. The goddess is included, Mahalakshmi, Sharanya. Vedanta Deshika starts with the word Sharanya in his Sri Stuti. Manatita Pratitave Bhavam, Mangalam Mangalanam, Vakshaf Pethim Madhuvijaino, Bhushayantim Sakantya, Pratyakshanushavikamihima Prarthininam Prajanam, Sheyo Murtim Shiyama Sharanas, Tvam Sharanyam Prapadye. Sharanyam Prapadye. When Lord Shiman Narayana is the Sharanyaha, she is Sharanya, the goddess of fortune. So, what is the difference between Sharanyaha, Lord Shiman Narayana, and Sharanagati? There is no clear line of demarcation because he is the destination, he is the goal, he is the way, he is the upayaha, and he is the upeya. The very process of Sharanagati is, we call it as mokshaha, emancipation. The opportunity that we get for doing service permanently is nothing but liberation from the cycle of birth and death. So Sharanagatikum, Sharanyanukum, Phalattukum, what is the fruit? What is the result? What is the consequence of our doing Sharanagati? First, we don't think of it. We are not selfish to dote upon it. We are not to brood over it. What will be the advantage if I do Sharanagati? Whereas the phalam also is all comprehensive. We get the fruits of our desires fulfilled in this world and also in the next world. So again, when will we get the advantage? There is no place restriction, there is no time restriction, and so on. So also, when will the God grace us? When will the God bestow his choicest blessing on us? There is no place restriction, there is no time restriction. And where should we do Sharanagati? Should we choose a place to do Sharanagati? The only place is preceptor's divine feet. Otherwise, there is no particular place where I must do Sharanagati or I ought to do. We ought to do the Sharanagati as well as time. So no time restriction. And therefore, in our Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, in the whereas we call it Munitraya Sampradaya, we have the children also going to the preceptor doing prapatti at the young age. So there is no age restriction also. And as such, there is no status restriction. whether one is economically sound and or less poor, or social status, as per social status, as per the educational qualification. So nothing stops us from doing Sharanagati. Now, Prapatti Adhyayadigal ellam idan vistaram. So when we go to the chapters on Prapatti, in many various books, including Rahasya Saram of Sri Vedanta Deshika, this is the what you call expanded. This is the expanded, and this process is expanded in so many books of so many acharyas. The quotation is from Deshika Prabandham. We must find out Tamil Prabandham. Let me read this. Enakkuriyan enadu paramendu en perenadu இவையனைத்தும் இறையில்லா விரை கிடைத்தோம் தனக்கிணை ஒன்றில்லாத திருமால் பாதம் சாதனமும் பயணமென சலங்கள் தீர்ந்தோம் உனக்கு இதமென்றொரு பாகன் உரைத்ததொற்றோம் உத்தமனாம் அவன் உதவியெல்லாம் கண்டோம் இனிக்க வருமவை கபரவிகம் சோகம் இமயவரோடு இன்றி நீ நாம் இருக்கு நாளே. It is number given as 1 in the footnote and 8 in the. We will have to see the bottom page, bottom of this 45th page, the last line. If the participants can give us the information, I think I just forget the source. So let us look at the meaning, and we will have the answer, the source answer by the next session, or if within the session if possible. So now what we discussed in the previous page 44, Uttara Krityam, and that is called Kaikaryangal, Kaikaryangal. C, Varayare, the what you call the definition. D, Virivu Vistara. So, Yanakku Uriyan, Nane Yanakku Swami. So, that is the first line given in the quotation. Param Yanadu Yennai Nakshikam Kadamiyam Ennudayade. Now, please refer to Sri Nyasa Dashakam of Sri Vedanta Deshika. The first line, as he says, Aham Madrakshanam Paraha Bharaha Madrakshana Phalam Tatha. So this is the translation into Tamil. So Enakku Uriyan Nani, Enakku Swami. I belong to myself. I am the master of myself. I can control myself. Param Enadu En Rakshikam Kadamiyam Ennudayade. Later, the responsibility of protection also lies in me, in myself, in me. And therefore, Rakshikam Kadamiyam Ennudayade. So this is the exact translation in Sanskrit is Aham Madrakshana Bharo Madrakshana Phalam Tatha. So En Per Adan Palanum Ennudayade Ennadu Endu Nenayamal. So look at the second line of the first verse of Sri Nyasa Dashakam of Sri Vedanta Deshika, namely, Namama Sripatehe Eva Iti Atmanam Nikshipet Buddhaha. So these two sentences are not to be considered seriously and not to be taken at all. Namely, I should not consider that I am the master of myself, nor the responsibility of protecting myself does not lie on my head. So what is happening? So what is the reality? That is, na mama. These two are not mine. Neither I am the master of myself, nor I am the controller of myself. Nor I can protect myself. So again, it gives you the first step of the process, Karpanyam, Akinchanyam, or you can say helplessness, and in Tamil, kaimudal illamai. So you have the next line in some Tamil. Adan palanum ennudeyide ennadu. Don't say that the advantage of total surrender belongs to me. So don't think of it. Endu ninayamal. Ivai anithum sarupam param phalan ellavathayum. The original nature, the highest goal. So all this must be dedicated to irayilla iraikku adaithom. So தனக்கு ஒரு நாயகன் இல்லாத பகவானிடம் சமர்ப்பித்தோம். இறையில்லா இறைக்கு அடைத்தோம், meaning there is nobody above Sriman Narayana. He is the most supreme God. And therefore, ஒரு நாயகன் இல்லாத பகவானிடம் சமர்ப்பித்தோம். So தனக்கு இணை ஒன்று இல்லாத, so again there is no parallel, தனக்கு சமமான ஒரு வஸ்து இல்லாத, there is nobody else to say that he is equal to someone or somebody is above him. So there is nobody above him, nor there is somebody equal to him. ஒத்தாரும் மிக்காரும் இல்லாத இளையாய மாமாயா. Our statement is ஒத்தாரும் மிக்காரும் இளையாய மாமாயா. Scriptures say na bhuto na bhavishyati. There was no one before and there will be no one in future. Na bhuto na bhavishyati. There is no equal, there is no one above him, better than him. So what is here which has no parallel? Thirumal Padam. It is Lord Sriman Narayana's divine feet. Emberumanudiya Thiruvadiye. And I just now told you, it is sadhanam upayaha, sadhanamum payanum, it is the upayaha. The destination is the divine feet of Sriman Narayana. The means to go, the path to tread, the road to travel is also the same divine feet of Sriman Narayana. Upayamum phalanum endru ninithu. So this is the not only thought, confirmed thought, it's a concluded decision, and we must not swerve from the decision. We cannot change the decision later, change our mind later, and therefore we get out of the apprehensions, doubts, and any reservation about these decisions. So shalangal tirndom. That means now pratikulya varjanam is the next step. Thiya shayalai olindom. We stop our bad activities. We come away out of the bad activities. And we don't do anything heinous. We don't perform anything sinful. So thiya shayalai olindom. And then I told earlier in this session that the prapatti, the total surrender, sharanagati, is not done for ourselves. It is not for the pleasure of ourselves. It is for the sake of the pleasure of the Lord. Therefore, unakku idam endru, unakku palan பெறுவதற்கு நன்மையான உபாயம் என்று. So, of course, Lord Krishna says in his Bhagavad Gita, when he is addressing King Arjuna, that this is the way for you to approach me. Nanmayana upayam. It will be a favorable means to you. If you adopt this upayam, namely Sharanagati, rather Sharanagati is equal to Lord Sriman Narayana. That's all. Equation is congruent. So, exactly similar. So if you approach me, instead of saying approaching me, I said Sarvadharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Sharanam Vraja, Mam Sharanam Vraja, Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Now, Oru Pagan, he was the driver. Lord Krishna was the driver. So we understand his Saulabhyam, easy accessibility, as he was a driver to King Arjuna. chariot driver. So not only he drove the chariot as per the instruction of Arjuna in the war field, but also gave rest to the horses in the evening after the war is over every day. And therefore, so he is a good caretaker, like King Nala of Mahabharata. We have a lot of stories, anecdotes in Mahabharata, which occupy almost 80% of Mahabharata. 80,000 shlokas are outside the main heroes, namely Pandavas. Only 20,000 shlokas are there about Pandavas, the heroes of the epic, greatest epic in the world. And then here, so Nanmayana Upayam is for Arjuna, namely approaching Lord Krishna. And though he is a driver, you call him a driver, Partha Sarathi. Partha Sarathi. So Nigaratra Terpahanana Kannan. There are two aspects here. The chariot is the best chariot, and the charioteer is the best charioteer. The driver is called Chalakaha or Sarathihi. He is also best. So there is no parallel to the driver, namely Kannan, Lord Krishna. So Arjunanathu Terpahanana. He did not drive chariot for anybody else. Therefore, Uraitadu Ulrom. So we are now following the author of this poem says that we have got ready Lord Krishna. So what we understand in technical term in Sanskrit is Siddhopayaha or Sadhyopayaha. Anyway, so let us take Sadhyopayaha. So with this Upayaha, namely Lord Sriman Narayana, so we perform Sharanagati. And we take the advice of Lord Krishna to Arjuna, especially for us, and then Upadeshittadai, Uraittadu Undrom, Upadeshittadai, Sharanagatiye Yetra Anushtito. And what is the quality of the Lord? So he is Uttamanam Avan. He is the Purushottama, he is called the Purushottama. Yamunacharya, called in Tamil Alavandar, says in his Chatushloki, Kantaste Purushottamaha. So Purushottamaha, he is the best primordial being. He is the most supreme God. So Uttamanamavan, Uyarndavanahiya Bhagavanudeya, Udaviyellam Kandom. The blessing that we get from the Lord, for example, even in our personal life in this world now, so we say that he has given us all the benefits of our happy living. So here, so what we call Udavi Ellam Kando. He was a great friend of Arjuna. He is the only friend of Arjuna, rather. Arjuna had a lot of very good friendship, deep friendship with Arjuna, Lord Krishna. And therefore, Upayangalayallam Petrom. We got umpteen advantages from the gracefulness of Lord. Inikka, so in order to make us happy, nam manam mahirumbadi, varum avai kavara, varapohum, achiradi margam, bhagavat anubhavam mudaliya. So at the end of life, the Shastras say that we have the individual soul has to travel through a way called the bright path, Archiradi Marga. Archihi is flame, flame in the sense brightness. So the whole road is effulgent. So Archiradi Margam, then you will slowly get into the divine experience, Bhagavad Anubhavam, Modale Vishayangal. So since we read in Shastras and learn that, so we will get the divine experience, what you call uncontaminated divine experience, so that it will not be mixed with the suffering. and those matters will be our fascination. Vishayangal Nammanattai Kavara. So what do we do now? Shokam Ihandom. So this is the quality, great quality of Lord Sriman Narayana. We call it as Vita Shokaha. Vita Shokaha. You would have heard about this adjective whenever we refer to Lord Sriman Narayana. So he never was unhappy. So we will not be unhappy. So again, so Shokam Ihandom, Tunbattai Vittorindom. We don't worry about the future. Because of the old age that we get a lot of weaknesses in our physical and mental faculties. But still, so we don't bother about them. And that is what we call, we get from these last two words of Charma Shloka, Ma Suchaha. Let us not worry about it. Let us not bother about our life. Because our life has been dedicated in the form of Sharanagati to the divine feet of the divine preceptor available in flesh and blood in the form of a human being now and here. So, ini naam, ivulahil irukkum naan, imayavarodu ondru. So, what are we to become? Nitya Surigalin Kalathirku Samamanadu. So, even though we live in this world with the Jivatma intact to our body, though the body is perishable at the end of life, still we feel happy as the permanent residents of Sri Vaikuntha, we generally call heaven, not the word Swarga, where Indra and other 33 crores of gods live. So here we are happy in this world, as happy as Nitya Suris. Of course, we named 3 Nitya Suris in Vaikuntha, and those who are the individual souls who came back to the Vaikuntham and remain there permanently, sorry, forever, as muktas, the released souls. So they are also equated to Nitya Suris. So Suri means scholar, Nitya means, as you know, permanent. So Nitya Suri is wise, permanently wise people. So that means spiritual wisdom is possessed by us, and we know what is what as the Lord knows. We have equal knowledge with the Lord. And our life will be as happy as a Nitya Suri in this world too, if we dedicate ourselves to the divine feet of the preceptor, and through the preceptor to the divine feet of the Lord, by doing the sincere Sharanagati. So this is the subject matter that we see today in the page 45. And if you take up the 2 footnotes, we will understand more. So this is the last portion of this Rahasya Navanitam. So let us read the Sanskrit part of it now from the footnote 1 and 2. So Guru Bhajana Netra Bhaja Mathita Ragasyena Venkateshena Navanitam Iva Grihitam Navakam Idam Nityam Aswadyam. In future, I would like you to, the participants also, to take part in reading these quotations. And we will, each of us will have an opportunity to read the Tamil quotations, even the Tamil text, as we see. And please come forward to read. So now this is from Daya Shatakam, I suppose. So Prashamita Kalidosham Pradya Bhoganubandham Samudita Gunajatam Samyag Achara Yuktam Shitajana Bahumanyam Sheyasim Venkatadrau Shriyam Upajanu Nityam Srinivasa Tvameva. Now, the shloka under footnote number 1 is the Palashruti, which has been written by Sri Vedanta Deshika, and therefore he says about himself. Sri Venkatesan ennum Vedantacharyan Acharyanai vazhipadudal ennum kadai kayitrai வைத்துக்கொண்டு மூன்று ரகசியங்கள் என்னும் தயிரை கடந்து ரகசிய நவநீதம் என்னும் இந்த புதிய வெண்ணையை எடுத்தான். இதில் அடங்கிய 9 விஷயங்களும் எப்பொழுதும் அனுசந்தித்து சுவைத்தற்கு உரியன. So we have been going through this Rahasya Navanitam, and Sri Vedanta Deshika, the great philosopher, the master of poesy and polemics, has given this Palashruti. How did he do it? How did he happen to compose this Rahasya Navanitam? So his mudra being Venkatesha, his name, original name being Sri Venkatesha. Vedantacharya, the title award given by the divine couple of Srirangam. So Acharyanai vazhipadudal ennum kadai kayitrai. The last resort is to worship the preceptor. So he, in fact, Sri Vedanta Deshika followed 3 preceptors. Therefore, we call the Sri Vaishnava tradition as Munitraya Sampradaya. Sriman Natha Muni, Srimad Yamuna Muni, and Sri Ramanuja Muni. So that's why we say Munitrayam, as all of us know. So these 3 preceptors were strictly followed by Sri Vedanta Deshika, and therefore he said, so Acharyanai vazhipadudal ennum kadai kayitrai வைத்துக்கொண்டு. The only and the final resort is bhakti, rather devotion towards the preceptors. And so 3 ரகசியங்கள், namely I told you the 8th syllable spell, Ashtakshara mantra, Thiruvetteluthu, we call it in Tamil, and then Mantram, Thirumandiram also we can call it, and the second one is Dvaya Mantraha, the 2-sentence spell, and lastly Lord Krishna Avatara Charama Shloka, namely the 3-sentence, 2-line, what you call Anushtup Vritta Shloka meter, the final words of Lord Krishna through Arjuna to us. And then, so he says, so the butter has been got by churning these 3 curds, namely the 3 secrets, Rahasya Traya. So Rahasya Traya Saraha is Navanitam. This is a fresh butter, and it contains 9 topics. And therefore, if we follow these 9 topics, we will relish, we will enjoy them, and they will have a fascination for us. We will follow them and be happy. So here he prays to Lord Srinivasa of Tirupati in footnote number 2. Thiruvenkadamudaiyane, O Lord Srinivasa. Thiruvenkadamalayil, in the mountain called 7 Hills, Adiyargalin Kaikarya Chelvam, the devotees' service, the what we call the wealth of service by the devotees, Menmelum Punki Elumbadi, it should increase by leaps and bounds. Ni epodum valartharula vendum. Oh Lord Srinivasa, you must bless that our service must go on increasing in quality and quantity. Kaligalathal varum kutrangal anugakoodadu. So no faults should accrue to the service. No impediments should happen to the service because of the exigency of the time, namely the black era. Unnai anubhavithal ennum aanandam niraidirukka vendum. So experiencing the divinity in you should be our happiness. And it should be a complete happiness, unmixed by sufferings. உனக்கு தொண்டு புரியும் அடியார்கள் நற்குணங்கள் நிரம்ப பெற்றிருக்க வேண்டும். Though we cannot imitate Lord Sivan Narayana in his unlimited number of auspicious characteristics, the servants, namely the devotees, should be full of many good qualities. So, உனக்கு தொண்டு புரியும் அடியார்கள் நற்குணங்கள் நிரம்ப பெற்றிருக்க வேண்டும். They must be filled with a lot of good qualities. சிறந்த ஆச்சார சீலர்களாக இருக்க வேண்டும். The behavior must be very decent or the best. They must be in character impeccable. பாகவதர்கள் அந்த கைக்கரிய செல்வத்தை மிக மிக போற்ற வேண்டும். All devotees must adore, appreciate such a wealth of service. இத்தகைய செழுமையை நீயே செய்துள்ள வேண்டும். All this must be achieved only through you. You must bless us like this. So, all of us know the Satvika Tyaga. Bhagavan Srinivasaha eva swayam niyamya Swarupa sthiti pravritti shasheshataika rasena anena atmana kartra, because we are all in the instruments in the hands of God. Anena atmana kartra swakiyescha upakaranaihi, by his own instruments. That is what we call, whatever the service, type of service we want to do. For example, yesterday we were talking about the last but one Tirupavai, Sitran Tiruhale. In the Sitran Tiruhale Pashuram of Tirupavai, Andar blesses us with the line, Ittrai Paregulvan. Ittrai Paregulvan. Today you are supplying a material called a drum for an instrument of music for following a vratam, what you call a vow, called Katyayini, or say Pavai Nonbu in Tamil. But this is not for us. We are not concentrating on the instrument, the musical instrument that we want to give. Parai means moksham in a technical term. So Ittrai Paregulvan. But we are not bothered about either moksham or this musical instrument. We want to live with you whenever you are born and whenever we are born. Ittrakkum ஏழேழ் பிறவிக்கும் உந்தன்னோடு உற்றோமேயாவோம் உனக்கே நாம் ஆட்சேவோம் மற்றை நம் காமங்கள் மாற்று. So this is the essence of this Sharanagati, Rahasya Navanitam. And then, so this butter has been churned out of the three curds, namely the three spells. And generally, for your information, kind information, that we read Abhaya Pradana Saram, which I started loving from my childhood because of my father, respected father. And therefore, I studied Rahasya Trayasara under my father. And therefore, Abhaya Pradana Sara under my father also. And these three called Garuda, Adishesha and Vishwaksena are considered as Nityasuris by the term. But as released souls also, the Jivatmas can be called Nityasuris because they have the almost equal status of the Lord. Except the three aspects which I repeat in these sessions, namely Vibhutvam. We cannot be everywhere present. We cannot be a Vishnu or Vishwam. Whereas we don't have the Siyapatitvam and also Srashtritvam. We cannot create. So these three, apart from these three aspects, we are equal with the Lord. சாத்விக தியாகத்தை நான் முடிக்கலன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். அனேன ஆத்மனா கர்த்தனா ஸ்வகீயஸ்ய உபகரணைஹி ஸ்வாராதனைக்க பிரயோஜனாய சர்வசேஷி பகவான் சிவபதி பரமபுருஷः சசேஷபூதமிதம் பிரபத்தி ஆக்கியம் கர்ம சரணாகதி ஆக்கியம் கர்ம ஸ்வஸ்மை சுப்ரீதே ஸ்வயமேவ காரயத். He only does it. So he only enthuses us to do it. He only encourages us to do it. He only gives the direction to do. Otherwise, we won't have the mind to do it. We are drowned in the quagmire of this worldly miseries that we don't want to come out of the ocean of. Nappasai, Perasai, the other 6 enemies, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya, haunt us, and that we need some direction from the God to do even Sharanagati. It is very clear in the Nyasa Vimshati of Sri Vedanta Deshika, where he himself has given the Sanskrit commentary for only one stotra out of the rather 30. I include Paduka Sahasram and I include King Grihesha Stuti. 28 stotras are printed in almost all books. So 29 is Sri King Grihesha Stuti of Vaidya Veera Raghava of Tiruvallu. And then you have Paduka Sahasram is of course 1008. So all can be called stotras. In the course of reading Rahasya Navanitam, we saw those 9 points. So we discussed Vibhishana Sharanagati. We discussed in this Navanitam the crow episode in Ramayana. The crow episode is dealt with in detail in this Rahasya Navanitam. And there are so many angles at which we look at Sharanagati.
Ramanujadaya Badram Jnana Vairagya Bhushanam Srimad Venkatanathāryam Vande Vedanta Desikam Aditya Sirobanga Panchanana Paragrama Srimad Venkatanathārya Tiram Vijayata Tirundru Pul Tiruvengadamudaiyaan Parundru Sonna Pazhamozhigal Orundru Thane Amaiyatho Tharaniyil Vazhvarkku Vanera Pomalavum Vazhvu
रामानुजदया पात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकम् कवितार्किकसिंहाय कल्याणगुणशालिने श्रीमते वेङ्कटेशाय वेदान्तगुरवे नमः சீரொன்று தூப்புல் திருவேங்கடமுடையான் பாரொன்றச் சொன்ன பழமொழியுள் ஓரொன்று தானே அமையாதோ தாரணியில் வாழ்வார்க்கு வானேரப் போமளவும் வாழ்வு.
ஓம் நமோ நாராயணாய. ஓம் நமோ நாராயணாய.